The big news today, Thursday, the 16th of June, 2022, is that the Bank of England has raised the interest rate for the fifth time in recent times to 1.25%, more than most people expected. The old lady did this along with many other countries in response to the United States Federal Reserve raising its interest rate to its highest level in 30 years. The U.S. is contending with rising inflation as we are. Ours is 9%, headed for 10, if it's not there already, now predicted to go to 11. And the United States is at about 8.5% and rising. Now, the problem is that there isn't much discussion about the fact that there are two kinds of inflation. There's what's called, and this is really basic, simple economics 101. So why it's not being mentioned and explained why it's being ignored is a mystery to me. There is the first kind of inflation, which is called demand pull inflation. This is where there's a lot of money around, people are spending, house prices are going up, bankers' bonuses get bigger, and expensive properties get bid more and more, prices bid up. Ladies who lunch, I don't want to be politically incorrect, need to buy Prada bags all the time, can't be seen twice with the same Prada bag, whatever. Men do the same thing. Gender neutral people do the same thing, okay? But everybody is spending. New cars are on long waiting lists. Everything bright and shiny and expensive and lovely, everybody wants. And prices are just being driven up by consumer demand and strained supply of the things that people want. The second kind of inflation, the first, as I said, is called demand pull. The second kind of inflation is cost push. And this is where it's got nothing to do with people buying. People are actually cutting back as now. It's just that the cost of things like natural resources, fuel, wheat, commodities all around the world, exacerbated by the Ukraine war, supplies of things are just hard to get and more expensive. And it drives prices up, and people have to spend more and more, make do with less and less. Times are really tough. The thing is that the worst thing, say many economists, and, sort of normal people, you don't need to be a rocket scientist for this, is that you don't put pressure on people during a period of cost push inflation when they're being squeezed dramatically already, paying £2 for a liter of petrol, for goodness sake, by increasing interest rates, which means if they need to borrow to survive, it's going to cost them more. Their house mortgage is going to cost them more. It's the last thing that you do. And yet, the Bank of England, like many other countries, just went ahead and jumped on the USA train. It has been said for many months that if the U.S. follows this course, they may push the country into recession. It was said only last week that wasn't going to happen because things are easing. So that must have given them the confidence to go ahead with this move. But it's not the case here. And we could easily be pushed into a recession, pushed off the edge of a cliff by these interest rate rises, which will no doubt continue. In my humble opinion, it's just the wrong thing to do to people, just the wrong way to go. Another example of this government, which has done such a good job in so many areas, COVID, Ukraine, just ask Zelensky, so many other things, they're just taking the wrong tack. They should be suspending the huge increase in corporation tax, yes, but they should also take the VAT of 30% off petrol, at least for a period of 6 months, to give some easing to people. So I hope that clarifies something that I think is missing in all the reporting around the Bank of England's rate rise. Thank you very much for listening.